All right, what is going on, guys? Got another breakdown for UFC London. This one is at featherweight. We got Makwan Amirkhani taking on Jonathan Pearce. About the same on reach. JSP is going to be 2 inches taller. So I guess I'll start with Makwan Amirkhani. If the page will load, but snapped a three-fight losing streak with his last fight against Mike Grundy. Picks up the Anaconda choke. He has several Anaconda chokes in the UFC. I think he has four. But yeah, man, Grundy's a pretty good opponent. He hasn't really had much success in the UFC, but he's been in competitive fights. He's fought tough guys, and he's pretty decent. So good win there for Amir Khani. Before that, he loses to Lerone Murphy, second round KO. Murphy's still undefeated, so not a bad loss against Camuela Kirk. Amir Khani was a pretty big favorite. He loses that one. Kirk just comes in on short notice and loses. Amir Khani loses to him. So not good. Against Edson Barbosa, that's just a tough matchup. He looked okay for a round, kept it close, but Barbosa just wasn't really afraid of anything coming back on the feet from Amir Khani, and he wins that one by unanimous decision. Before that, gets the Anaconda choke against Danny Henry, lost to Shane Burgos pretty handily at Madison Square Garden. So, yeah, he's been around, win some, lose some. If he wins, it's pretty much always by submission. Problem with Amir Khani is when he's on the feet, like, there's just not much, not a lot of volume. He has a decent jab, but he doesn't really use it. He doesn't really do anything on the feet. He just kind of stands there and just waits for an opportunity to try to get the fight to the ground or pounce on something, get to the back. Like, he just doesn't set a lot up. He just waits for his opportunity. I mean, on the ground, very high level submission guy. He has a lot of submissions for this weight class, and it could be tricky in this fight, which we'll talk about in a second when we get to JSP. But yeah, man, at range, just not a lot of volume, not a lot of dangerous weapons, if any, on the feet for Amir Khani. I mean, even that Danny Henry fight, you look at it, I don't think he threw a strike until he managed to sink in that takedown and get that sub. So I don't know, man. It's always like it's always a mixed bag with Amir Khani. Like he's very good on the ground, but other than that, in terms of takedown ability and setting things up, there's just not a lot there. For JSP coming in on a three-fight winning streaks looked impressive. I got the finish in two of those fights. Before that, his UFC debut against Joe Lozon, he loses. He doesn't look good. Lozon kind of pieces him up when it's at range. It's only at range for like 45 seconds, knocks him down, and he gets this, like, I guess we'd call it a crucifix. It was effectively a crucifix, kind of a weird position, but had that wrist controlled, kind of like above JSP's head, and he couldn't move at all. Just gets the ground and pound. KO in under 2 minutes, so very impressive performance from Joe Lozon there. But since then, JSP has been the one who's very impressive, definitely making a name for himself in this division. Gets the round two ground and pound KO against Kai Kamaka. Kai Kamaka, I thought got cut too early. He's had some success with Bellator now, so that's a good win for sure. Kamaka does have decent ground game too, and JSP was just better. I don't think Kamaka has great ground game. I mean, he's good wrestling. I wish he would use it more sometimes, but yeah, in that fight, JSP's wrestling was better. His scrambles were better. Whenever Kai Kamaka would get to an advantageous position, JSP would get out of it, and he was the one doing the damage on the ground in the first round, especially in the second round. A lot of very good ground and pound. He's got that perfect ground and pound where it's heavy, but he doesn't overexert himself. Always nice to see. Against Omar Morales, good opponent. Morales coming in with a fair amount of hype in that one, or at least momentum, let's say. And he gets the second round rear naked choke. Very capable fighter. Kind of started late. He's susceptible to a better grappler, and that's what happened there against Christian Rodriguez. I thought he'd get the finish there. Rodriguez very green. I think he's like 22, but a very good performance nonetheless for JSP. Primarily very well rounded, but he primarily wins his fights by mixing in the takedowns. And just about all of his wins will have multiple takedowns. And it could be an issue in this one. He'd be playing to Amir Khani's strengths. Um, and the one thing that worries me is JSP does leave some room to get submitted on the ground when he's in some of these transitions. He has been put in bad spots before A lot of the people who have put him in bad spots haven't been able to capitalize. Like Omar Morales had him in a tricky position for a second. Kai Kamaka also, and he managed to scramble out. I mean, Kamaka is a decent wrestler, so it is worth something. But you know, Kamaka did have him in a pretty tight guillotine at one point. He was able to work his way out of it, but I think against a better grappler like Amirkhani, who has submission game off of his back, who's only looking to do one thing. You know, when this fight's on the ground and you know there's scrambles and there's transitions, I'm just gonna worry the entire time because it's JSP's strength. It's how he wins his fights. Volume takedowns that he does damage with. Um, but at the same time, man, I just worry like he's gonna have to probably play around in Amir Khani's world. That's not to say that Amir Khani is just like some jujitsu phenom and like JSP is just a scrub and it's a foregone conclusion if it goes to the ground. JSP, very good ground fighter himself, but I just worry, you know, like Amir Khani, you're giving him the one thing he's looking to do in any fight is get the submission. And if you're a little bit loose on the ground sometimes, it could be tricky, but yeah, he is a very capable ground fighter. Standing up, he's not the best. Like you know, he's not terrible either. He's had some solid exchanges on the feet. I think he was outboxing Kai Kamaka for a minute, which is good. Against Omar Morales, he looked okay at range, but primarily gets it done with the wrestling. So, um, I want to say that JSP is better standing up, but it could honestly just be a stalemate if this fight takes place standing up. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, I do have to side with JSP again. Amir Khani just doesn't show me anything on the feet. So if we look at the price here, we got minus 205 for JSP on DK and minus 260 on FanDuel. These DK prices are so nice early in the week right now, which is why I'm trying to get all my bets in. I just made one on the what's it called? The last video I did, the Jai Herbert fight. I have two bets already for this card. I kind of want to make a third Husky one and then just kind of be done today. I'll probably make it after this video. But yeah, I do like Jonathan Pearce at this price, minus 205. Don't love it the higher it gets. Again, that's why I want to get in right now. But yeah, I do like Jonathan Pearce at minus 205. If you can get it in that range, I'd like it up to like minus 225. It's a nice parlay piece, but there is a little bit of room for concern here. I think that Jonathan Pearce should probably just keep it standing. And even if he's not like, you know, just blowing you away on the feet, if it's a little bit of a boring fight, I think that he'll still be outpointing him. He just does more, you know. I don't think he's going to get taken down by Amir Khani. I think if Amir Khani gets the sub, it's going to be one of two ways. Jonathan Pearce makes a mistake on the ground, and a mistake could be he just leaves himself a little bit vulnerable on a transition. Or like Amir Khani somehow finds his way onto his back or something like that. Like I don't see him getting like a single leg or a double leg on Jonathan Pearce. It'll be some weirdness if he's gonna get a sub. But yeah, I like Jonathan Pearce more everywhere. I don't think that Amir Khani is like this like phenom on the ground to where like I'm worried that much, but I am worried. It is definitely worth keeping in mind. You can't sleep on Amir Khani's submission game, but at the end of the day, I think you just got to go with Jonathan Pearce here. So thanks for watching, guys. Sure to subscribe and take it easy.